Well, welcome to Beyond the Scoreboard. This is the 2018 football season, and I know I'm going to confuse some folks when I say we're in week 1, because last week was week 0. We want to do a shout out to our main sponsors, Bill Smith Buick GMC, good folks down the road from here, and got a lot of great deals on some vehicles right now. Wallace State Community College. You know, I got to spend some time down there a couple of weeks ago and tour those different programs that they have, and just some outstanding opportunities right here in our backyard here in Coleman. Mentioning Coleman, the city of Coleman, also one of our sponsors. We gave them a shout out tonight at our live or delayed broadcast from tonight's ball game at Vinemont and Faultville. But a lot of great things going on in Coleman. Need to come visit us and get out and about in the city of Coleman and enjoy the many things that they have for you. Target Pest Control, and Coach, I guess corner phrase you used tonight, Target Pest Control is on target to meet your needs in terms of pest control, and those folks will respond and be glad to come out and do an estimate for you. We'll take a moment to do and tell you about our Beyond the Scoreboard air times. They are Saturday at 9 a.m., again at 1 p.m., and again at 5 p.m. And also Sunday at noon and 2 p.m., Wednesday night at 7 p.m., Thursday at 9 p.m., or you can see us anytime by streaming online through Facebook or YouTube, WCQT TV 27. And if you probably noticed tonight, my guy that's normally here with me, or me with him, however you want to phrase that, has gotten a little bit younger and
better looking.
And better looking. So it's not Coach Mark Smothers tonight, it's Coach Jeremy Besley, and he and I had a good time out at the Vinemont-Faultville game, and he'll be filling in tonight for Coach Smothers, and you'll see him throughout this particular season. Right now, we're going to go to a commercial break and hear a word from our sponsors.
I worked at this coffee shop while I went to Wallace. I used to joke that I was going to buy it one day. That's how Wallace made me feel, confident. Funny thing is, when I came back to Coleman, I didn't buy that coffee shop. I opened my own instead. I wasn't sure what I wanted to be. Now I know what I was meant to be. Going to Wallace really opened my eyes, even without the caffeine. My name is Katie Fine, and my story began at Wallace State.
Delicious stud, hun.
Eat up. There's plenty more.
Billy, eat your stud. Think of the termites whose homes were protected with Termidor.
Aw, Dad. The Browns will never get Termidor. They're clueless.
Yeah, they even think homeowners insurance covers our damage.
Do you hear laughing?
It's probably just the pipes.
Target Pest Control. We aim to please.
Well, welcome back to us here at Beyond the Scoreboard. Coach, we got some scores to go over tonight, and
Okay.
you know, most of them, the scores have been kind of slow coming in, You know, we try to go to AL.com and AHSAA.com. We don't know if weather. I know the game we went to kind of slowed down and hampered by throwing the ball quite a bit, and then some flags flying.
Yep, and a lot of teams spreading out and doing a lot of passing. It makes the games last a whole lot longer too. So that's probably why they're coming in slow.
Yeah, we got some slow, but we got most of our counties and city teams right here. Cold Springs taking on Berry tonight. Cold Springs off to a 2-0 start. They defeat Berry 27-20.
Isn't that great?
That's great. I know Coach Elliott's probably a lot happier than he was this time last year. You know, this time last year you go down to interview him and he'd have that scowl, but he may still have a scowl. You know, at game time, Coach Elliott's a very serious man when it comes to football.
And he does a really good job, and I know he loves the kids and proud of the work he's doing down there.
Absolutely, doing a tremendous job down there at Cold Springs as the head football coach. Surprise score for me tonight, of the few scores that we have, this one out of the county, but Meek defeating Winston County 14-13.
Yeah, that's good for Meek, and might be a telling tale of Winston County season.
And you know, next week they got Addison at home, but you know, that's a big chore.
Speaking of Addison, how'd their score turn out?
All right, Addison tonight got beat by Piedmont 32-20, but that's a classification bigger, and you know, both those got some storied tradition.
Yep.
Both those programs, so quite a football game tonight over in Addison.
So that'd be two teams coming off a loss trying to play each other, so it could be interesting.
One of them's going to rebound.
That's right.
All right, Colbert County, big winners tonight over Cherokee High School, 47-0. How about this one? Maplesville out of Class 3A Region 5 tonight, beating Fultondale, who has been one of those resurgent programs here the last few years, and you know, their schedule, they're not afraid to go and play, folks.
No, they're not.
But they take on Maplesville, who has either been in the semifinals, quarterfinals, finals, state champions. They defeat Fultondale 35-17.
I don't think I'm surprised too much there, though.
Not surprised too much there. A friend of mine coached at Maplesville. He's now at Horseshoe Bend, but he's got him a couple of rings from down there at Maplesville. Fairview coming off a big loss last week to West Point, and I know in Coach Redding's mind, he's been doing it a long time, but still as a coach, you wonder, how's my team going to respond? How's my team going to respond? You know, we checked that score at halftime, and Fairview trailing. Not by much, but trailing. And but they rebound well tonight as they pull off a 32-22 win on the road at Hansville.
Yep, and Fairview does a really good job, and Coach Redding always gets his team prepared, so sometimes you can't really tell a whole lot with a preseason game, but it looks like they come ready to play tonight. Yeah,
they definitely put some points on the board, and especially a lot in the second half. What about Coach Bates and his Holly Pond Broncos going on the road to Ider, where Coach Smothers is tonight, for a reunion of sorts, and they get the big win 36-13.
Maybe we need to call Coach Smothers and get him to report on the game.
Yeah, we could call Coach Smothers and let him fill in for Coach Bates tonight and give us some of the highlights and such of that game tonight up there in Ider. But Holly Pond getting off to a 2-0 start. Great for them, great for them.
It's a good job.
All right, the game we were at tonight, Faultville, Vinemont, two close communities, rival games, and you mentioned that those two historically have played each other about this time of the year.
Yeah, for a long time, Vinemont played Faultville the second ball game of the season, but it kind of is the second ball game if you count the preseason. But Faultville came ready to play, and Vinemont came ready to play. And there's a lot of big hits in this ball game. Not any quit on either team. It was a really good ball game to watch, but Vinemont came up short, but they had the opportunity to win.
And you know, it's one of those games that went down to the wire. Vinemont opportunity right there at the end of the game just comes up a little bit short.
Right. The difference in that game was a turnover. One turnover changed the whole game.
And you know, Faultville comes out with a 32-28 win, but Vinemont got a lot of things that they can look at film, and certainly there's things that I'm sure that they'll find that they can correct, but also a lot of good things out of tonight's ball game as well. All right, Cordova, kind of surprising for me. Of course, Cordova's one of those teams that's, really, really good, or sometimes they struggle. Tonight, Hamilton, of course, that's a 5A, playing a 4A, but Hamilton 32-0 over Cordova.
Yeah, Hamilton has a really good program, and I think they're a city system over there, but did a really good job.
And Curry tonight, bouncing back from a defeat at the hands of Addison last week. They pull even on the season, 1-1, and they come off with a big win over Oakman, 17-14.
That's my surprise of the night. Oakman's traditionally pretty good, and so Curry must have some good young players. I got to see them, but
well, they'll be they're in that same region, 4A Region 5 with Good Hope, and we'll be getting to see them here before too long, and be keeping track of them as the season progresses out of that particular region. Also out of that region, like I said, Good Hope being in it, they step out and they play Priceville at Priceville. Coach Scott and the Good Hope Raiders off to a 2-0 start with back-to-back wins. Last week on the road at Carbon Hill, this week at Priceville, 47-14.
Yeah, Vermont and Good Hope, when their middle school met, they played in the championship game. You probably remember that.
I remember that.
And so I know Good Hope has a good future, and Vermont has a good future, but I'm proud of Coach Scott and the Good Hope Raiders.
Yeah, off to a good start there, 2-0, and certainly makes, as well as I do, it makes the school year so much better when you get off to a good start and have a good year in football, and we certainly wish Coach Scott and them the best as they're off to a good start at 2-0. Haleyville, 21-7 over Central of Florence. I don't think really that's a surprise. And of course, we mentioned the Fairview-Hanceville score. Fairview in that 4A Region 7. North Jackson also in that region. Big winners tonight over Plainview, 48-0. And Randolph in Lauderdale County, kind of back and forth tonight. Randolph coming out on top, 30-28 over Lauderdale County. In 5A Region 7, a couple of scores that we have. Carbon Hill comes back from a loss to Good Hope last week, and they defeat Dora 16-0. Kind of a surprise to me.
That's
a little bit.
Just by name recognition, you wouldn't think that would happen, but teams change every year.
Absolutely, and we can't go out and recruit them. We take what comes in the door.
That's right.
And that's what we play with. Those that come in the door decide that they want to play football. That's what we have. All right, Aniana winners tonight at home over Hayden, who's also in that 5A Region 7 by a score of 35-21. And what about this one? West Point comes back, big deficit, and win by 1 at home against ARAP, 27-26.
Yeah, that's a big win for West Point.
And West Point off to a big 2-0 start for the 2018 season.
Anytime your team can come from behind and win, and that tells a lot about the character of your players, character of your school, but the character of your coaches. So that's a good job. Good job.
Good job by them tonight at home. And they'll step it up in region play next week, and it'll be them and Hamilton. They'll be hosting Hamilton. All right, 6A Region 7. Few scores out from that region. Of course, Muscle Shoals is going to play tomorrow, and I'm not even going to try to say the name of the school that they're going to play. Out of Columbia, I guess Columbia, Georgia. No, Columbia, I'm reading that wrong. Columbia is the upcoming opponent next week, but they play in Chaminade Madonna College Prep.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. And, but that's who they're playing, and they'll be playing tomorrow on Saturday. But also, we got a score in, and the Bearcats come up a little short tonight. Last week, 3 seconds left to go in the game, score, touchdown to tie it, extra point away, make it good, no time on the clock, win a game.
Right.
And this week come up a little short at Mortimer Jordan, or at home against Mortimer Jordan, 18-16.
And Mortimer Jordan traditionally has a really good school, so I'm sure that was a hard-fought game.
Yeah, and Coleman next week will be at Decatur, and enough said there. They know each other fairly well.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of Decatur, they play Austin tonight. You know, Austin got one of the top running backs in the state, possibly in the Southeast, and they put up 60 points. Not Decatur, but Austin, 60-45. High-scoring affair up at Austin.
That's good. You know.
I don't know that I ever coached a team. Yeah, I don't know that I ever coached a team that scored 60 points. But anyway, they score 60, and Decatur puts 45. It's 105 points, and you know I'm sure, you know, you can lose a game 7-6, and they'll blame the offense.
Right.
But you can lose a game 60-45, and it's defense's fault.
That's right.
But anyway, Hartselle, big winners tonight at Brooks, 38-14. Got some other scores coming in. We got Decatur Heritage tonight, big winners, and I'm going to say, Nick, that is Summerton Christian, and the reason why I called Nick's name, that's his alma mater. Decatur Heritage 31-7 over Summerton Christian. Lamar County tonight, big winners over Sulligent, 35-7. Clements 32-6 over Tanner. You know, Tanner just a few years removed from a really outstanding football team.
Right.
We got J.B. Pennington losing tonight to Susan Moore. That's a big win for Susan Moore. That's a big rivalry over in that neck of the woods.
Yeah, they're really close proximity, and that's a big game.
Yeah, and you know, both those schools take their football real serious, and Susan Moore 28-21 over J.B. Pennington. How about Cleveland putting up 41 tonight over Locust Fork, 41-7. We got Northridge 41 and Brookwood 14. Big win for those guys there as we get a score from across the state. And you know, not a lot of scores coming in time tonight, but we're still working on that, and we'll get those as those become available to you. But right now we're going to have some footage of our first two teams tonight. And that will be Fairview and Hanceville. Here we are at the handshake as the captains meet and teams run out of the tunnels there, or victory line. Coach, have you had the opportunity to be out at Fairview Stadium since they've done some of the upgrades?
I have not, and I haven't seen the wall. I saw some of it on Facebook, but I haven't been out there.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job, and you know, it's very, very nice venue to play in. Hanceville returning some great skilled people. There you see number 6, I believe R.J. Evans, and you know, last week tremendous ball game versus Summerton Christian at home. Fairview and George Redding, you know, they may have been one of the first teams in the county to get in what we would call the run and gun or run and shoot.
The spread offense.
Yeah, spread offense, and they do a good job coaching those guys up, and you know, return a ton of talent offensively, young up front, and but a lot of potential for the Fairview Aggies. Great rebound game for them tonight. And our other game that we'll see will be West Point hosting ARAP.
Big crowd there.
Yeah, big crowd. Good venue to play in.
West Point just always looks big, don't they?
They have some of the biggest youngins I've seen. And of course, you know, here's number 24, Hunter Persall. Had a big year last year. One of the leading rushers in the state, if not the leading rusher in the state. Off to another stellar start this year. But Coach Farley and crew off to a big 2-0 start. Here we see ARAB kind of getting some yardage early on and finding some creases in that West Point defense, and you know, took a big lead. I don't recall. I want to say when you showed me at halftime over at Vinemont, it was like 26-8 or something like that.
And what did the final end up being in this?
27-26. So Fairview held them scoreless in the second. I mean, not Fairview, West Point. Coach Farley will throw something at me calling it Fairview, but no, big rival there last week in the Brandon Iron Bowl. I can't get over that. What a great name for a high school football game. But they come back and hold Arab scoreless in the second half and grind out a 27-26 win, start 2-0 going into region play next week.
Yep, looks like the defense had a big stop there on the extra point.
Well, that's our footage from our first teams tonight, and we're going to look at our band of the week this week. And Coach, I know you enjoy watching bands at halftime. I think
do.
you mentioned something about your daughter being in the band here a few years ago.
Both my daughters are in the band, and I always look forward to halftime. As a coach or a player, you never get to see the band. But when my daughters got in there, I just left the locker room and got to go watch them, and I really enjoyed that. And the bands, they just amaze me.
Yeah,
They're really
and they work hard, and they're out in the heat during the summer, and they start in about a couple of weeks before the end of July, and then they have camp and just a lot of work. But our band of the week, the Hansville Bulldog Band.
delicious stud, hun.
Eat up, there's plenty more.
Billy, eat your stud. Think of the termites whose homes were protected with Termidor.
Aw, Dad. The Browns will never get Termidor. They're clueless.
Yeah, they even think homeowners insurance covers our damage.
Do you hear laughing?
It's probably just the pipes.
Target Pest Control. We aim to please.
At Premier Bank, you have a financial partner you can depend on. Hi, I'm Jay Mullins, president of Premier Bank, with some exciting news about our financial strength and performance. For the 6th consecutive year, our bank has been rated 5 stars by Bauer Financial, an independent firm that has been analyzing and reporting on the financial condition of the nation's banking industry since 1983. This prestigious rating means that we are one of the strongest banks in the nation, and a safe and sound bank you can depend on.
From the time I was a little girl, I've dreamed of exploring space. One day, we received a brochure from Wallace State in the mail. I saw all the science and technology classes they were offering and started there the very next semester. At Wallace, I got my degree in pre-engineering and began a career that's been going strong for over 23 years. Wallace State helped me reach for the stars and get there. My name is Mary Hovatter. My story began at Wallace State.
Well, welcome back to us here at the Beyond the Scoreboard. Coach Jeremy Besley, Alan Dunklin, great to be with you.
You know what I did at the break?
What'd you do at the break?
I ate some Domino's pizza.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to. I tell you, they are so good to us and allowing us to, well, not allowing us, but kind of letting us have some pizza.
It's good, too.
Yeah, it's good. My favorite's that Hawaiian pizza, and Nick come through big tonight because he got some of that for us. So we appreciate Domino's.
Are you hiding that? Because I hadn't seen it.
You hadn't seen that one? Nick, did we hide that? I heard a be quiet. But anyway, we appreciate Domino's and what they do for us, feeding us, because we come in mighty hungry. Want to also thank our main sponsors for tonight's program and broadcast. Be Bill Smith, GMC in Buick, Wallace State Community College, and City of Coleman, and Target Pest Control. So we give those folks a big shout out, and you just saw some ads for those folks. And if you like this program, just be sure to tell those folks if you do business with them, and we hope that you do, that you enjoy Beyond the Scoreboard. All right, we're going to look at our second two teams of tonight, and it was kind of, I guess, a tale of two halves. Coleman leading in the first half, but Mortimer Jordan making a comeback, and we'll see some footage of that game and then some footage of the game that we covered tonight, which was Viamont Faulkner. Coleman at home, second home game, and we talked about last week, come down to last play.
Right.
Coleman always has a good kicker, and I guess that putting your heels on the 10-yard line just doesn't exist anymore, Coach.
It doesn't seem like it, but or at least when you got the speed like Mortimer Jordan has.
Here we see number 11 just taking a pitch and catch and gaining some positive yardage.
We saw a lot of plays tonight in the Viamont game like that.
Yes, we did.
Just a lot of dinks and dunks. But
I guess they call that getting speed in space. Going to some of those former coaching clinics, find a way to put speed in space. Here we see Coleman on offense. Big hit delivered there by a defensive back from Mortimer Jordan. Well, option football.
That's all option in a while.
Hadn't seen that in quite a while. But anyway, that game tonight at Oliver Woodard Stadium, and Coleman comes up just a little short, 18-16. But it's just a warm-up and a tune-up, as we get ready for region play here just right around the corner. And Coleman next week will be at Decatur opening up region play.
Yeah, no need to panic because Mortimer Jordan traditionally is a really good football team.
Yeah, and that old saying, you got to play good folks if you expect to compete against good folks. So, definitely nothing wrong with competing against some good folks and good athletes. And Coleman playing pretty well tonight, but just coming up a little bit short. Want to take a moment and do a shout out to Coleman First Baptist Church. Normally at this point in time we have a FCA Athlete of the Week,
right, and
we do have those. It's just we only have 7, and we actually have 11 weeks, so we kind of have to spread those out, and we'll be bringing those to you soon. And B.J. Shelton from Coleman First Baptist Church, youth minister there, will be conducting those sit down and talk sessions with those young men. And you know, we just appreciate Coleman First Baptist Church, which is my church. I appreciate them, and
I really love those
sponsoring
segments, and that's kind of what the whole show's about, is going beyond the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And seeing how Christ is involved in these kids' lives, and the impact they're having at their school and their communities and their own home churches. And I just really love watching those segments.
And,
I really do.
And these guys that are being interviewed, the majority of them, if not all of them, are leaders of what's called a huddle in their school. And you know, that just speaks volumes for them and what they're doing as far from a leadership standpoint.
And FCA stands for Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So if you're an athlete, you can join that. And probably if you're not an athlete, you can join it.
I know we never turned them away at the door.
But band members are athletes, the volleyball players, cheerleaders, all of them. So,
all of them.
So it's a good program to have in your school, but it's also a great segment to watch. So you don't want to miss that every week.
And you know, Northeast Alabama FCA has really come on strong and have been very supportive, you know, coming into Coleman, and now they're even into Blount County. They sponsor FCA Coaches Breakfast about 3 or 4 times a year at Cracker Barrel, and you know, we have some folks here in Coleman that sponsor FCA, and we appreciate those folks doing that. And also a big event that FCA puts on every year folks need to know about, is our camps for our younger kids in various sports. Everything. I mean, there's archery, there's football, and you know, in football, I got to work that camp, and I got to work alongside a Super Bowl champion, Devin Wyman, and also a former Super Bowl coach from the Los Angeles Rams. And you know, to me, that was a highlight for me and exciting for me to be able to meet those folks and see those big old rings, and to know that they're out there teaching kids, number one, about Christ, and second, you know, giving them the opportunity to get better in the sport that they have chosen to play.
But that FCA is ran totally on donated money, and there are full-time people who work there, but they have to go raise their own money if they want to be paid.
And you know, we put a plug in for one, and we know who he is, Michael Simmons.
One of our very own has left the teaching field to be part of FCA. Michael Simmons.
Michael Simmons.
He's already hit me up for some money.
Yep, me too, and I'm going to come through with that, absolutely. We've done a little talking here, and hope that you folks will let Coleman First Baptist people know that you appreciate them sponsoring our FCA Athlete of the Week. And also, if you see any of our folks out and about that have on these FCA shirts, let them know how much you appreciate them as well for having that influence within our schools and amongst our athletes. So we're going to take another break and allow you to hear from our sponsors.
Delicious stud, hun.
Eat up. There's plenty more.
Billy, eat your stud. Think of the termites whose homes were protected with Termidor.
Aw, Dad. The Browns will never get Termidor. They're clueless.
Yeah, they even think homeowners insurance covers our damage.
Do you hear laughing?
It's probably just the pipes.
Target Pest Control. We aim to please.
I've always loved basketball. As a student and a player at Wallace State, I learned just what it meant to give it my all every time I stepped onto the court or into the classroom. Today, I coach my own team, have a career that I love, and continue to apply the lessons I learned as a student. Work hard, take advantage of every opportunity,
and always give it my best shot. My name is Lashina Nation, and my story began at Wallace State.
Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard. Coach, I think you got some sponsors to name for us, don't you?
Yeah, we'd like to thank Bill Smith. Bill Smith Buick GMC. They got 2 locations in Vinemont, and in Coleman, and off 157. And they do a really good job, and they got a lot of good sales folks, and I'm sure they'd like to see some of your patronage. Wallace State, I can't say enough. I graduated from there, so that's a good thing. But thank you for Wallace State. The City of Coleman, we talked about the City of Coleman all night during the football game and all the wonderful parks we have that we get to use, and the second Fridays that they do, and so all the things the City of Coleman does, we appreciate that. And then Target Pest Control. We all have the problem with the pest.
Absolutely. At some point in time, we sure do.
And so Target is the perfect name, because that's exactly where I want them to hit them. So I think we have some highlights from the game that we did tonight, and it was a blast doing the game with you. I know I'm not as good as Coach Smothers, but anyway, here's Vinemont's Fallful game.
You're natural. Well, I was really impressed with both teams tonight, just getting after it. Here we see number 33 from Fallful. We called his name multiple times tonight. Very physical game. Both sides of the ball, and it was kind of a tale of really different quarters, not necessarily 2 halves, but it seemed like the first quarter that Faultville had things kind of rolling. Second quarter, Vinemont had things rolling. Third quarter, Faultville, and then late in the third quarter into the fourth quarter, Vinemont.
Right, and yeah. Faultville took the opening drive and went for it on 4th down and made a big play, and then took the lead. And 2 plays later, Vinemont tied it up.
Yeah, a young man by the name of Noah Holmes for Faultville catching several key passes tonight.
That's right.
For the Blue Devils.
But number 9, I think his name was Watley from Vinemont, had some big catches for Vinemont as well. But hey, it was just a fun game to be at. Crowds, the stadium was full on both sides, and that's what it's all about. There are people going out supporting their teams, going out supporting their community, and these kids played their hearts out. Neither one of them has anything to hang their heads about, but this was a big run right here.
Yeah, this was a big run. If I'm not mistaken, it got called back on a penalty. And you know, you and I tonight, I think we kind of lost count. Well, we did lose count, but probably well over 200 yards in penalty between both teams combined. And you know, that's something that both teams going to have to work on and clean up before they get into region play.
And don't forget about the tip drill. How many times did we see balls go into the receiver's hands and maybe come out, and then somebody on their team catches the ball?
And here we see Fred Walls from Faultville. He had a big night tonight. He didn't play in the first half, came in the second half. But to go back to that tip ball drill that we talked about, 2 touchdowns for Vinemont.
In the same game. In
the same game, come off a tip ball that was caught by the receiver that it wasn't intended for.
That's right.
I mean, what are the odds of that? One maybe, but 2? You know, and a game tonight that right there we kind of got a little bit worried when it got to be 32-12, but Vinemont just battled back, and you know, it came down. They had an opportunity right there at the end of the game, but just clock ran out. You know, there at the end of the game before they had an opportunity to to do anything, and I think I had to leave. Of course, started pouring down rain. That's why I kind of got the wet look going on tonight. And but Vinemont come up a little short tonight.
And look, nobody likes to lose, but did you know every weekend half the teams in the state loses? Half
the teams.
So everybody can't win every game, but I don't think any one of these two teams we could walk away feeling like a loser because they both played their hearts out, nothing to be sorry for. And that sounds cheap to say, but it's the truth. They played hard, and both of them are going to have a good season.
I believe that too. And the fan base for both sides, into the game all the way to the end, it was fun. It was fun, and it was a good atmosphere to be in. And you know, Coach Robinson and his staff, you can't find a finer bunch of men.
No.
And you know, I wouldn't hesitate if I had a child at Vinemont, I'd want those guys being involved in the life of my son or my daughter.
When I was walking out, somebody from Faultville said it best. That was a good game.
Yeah, that was a good game.
That's enough said.
So, good game tonight. Vinemont comes up on the short end of things, but next week they'll be taking on Westbrook Christian at home again. You know, and hopefully they can rebound and get back on the winning side of things. As last week they go to East Lawrence. Preseason game, big win on the road. So Coach Robinson and them certainly playing some good football, just come up a little bit short tonight.
But as a whole, the county did a pretty good job tonight.
Yes,
I mean, they won a lot of games. So
won a lot of games and off to a good start, and looking forward to to next week. All right. We want to take a look now. It says we're going to look at region standings, Coach, but what do you think about region standings this week?
Well, right now, everybody is equal.
So right now, anybody that wants to in any region can say we're number one in our region because everybody's got the same record. They all tie first place. But that'll get sorted out a little bit next week. Some of these teams that have odd numbers like 7, somebody's not going to play a region game next week, and Vinemont being one of those, they're going to play Westbrook Christian. But they're in a very competitive region. You got Fultondale in that region. You got Hanceville. You got Holly Pond, who's off to a tremendous start. Right. Pennington come up a little short tonight, but historically, the last 2 or 3 years been pretty tough to play. And Locust Fork struggling a little bit. Midfield, Midfield not far removed from some stellar teams.
James Winston?
That's Hueytown.
That's Hueytown.
Hueytown. Right. Same neck of the woods. And then Vinemont, of course, tonight, 4-point loss to Faultville in a rival game, and couldn't ask for better weather once the sun went down, and just great atmosphere to play a football game in.
So traditionally, 10 game season, first, fifth, and last game is non-region. Is that right?
Traditionally. And now a little different for the 7As, and maybe a little different for the 6A. But 1 through 5A, that's pretty much. And then with this 0 week, you can opt to play early and have a bye week somewhere, or do a preseason game.
Right. And so that's why the preseason game, a lot of times we're seeing some really good games there because maybe they can't play their old rivals. And so they play it in a preseason game, so those are becoming really good games.
Yes, they are. And so right now, everybody's 0-0. We'll have some region records beginning next week and start shuffling things out, and then we'll also have some season records too right now. And right now we just mentioned to you a couple of teams that's off to a big start. Cold Springs 2-0 right now, Holly Pond 2-0, Good Hope 2-0, and Fairview bounces back 1-1, and West Point 2-0. So several of the teams within the county right now unblemished.
Yep.
Yeah, unblemished.
That's what you want.
And we got Coleman at 1-1 after they lose a hard-fought battle tonight at home to a very good Mortimer Jordan squad. All right.
But it is early in the season, and so you can't really tell how your team's going to be yet because they've really only played one game. So who knows? Season's early.
Go back to, of course, I consider myself back in the old school of things, but Coach Bryant used to say, and I don't know if it holds true today, but you know, I would think that it probably does, is that you're going to improve your most between that first ball game and that fourth ball game.
Right.
Because you're getting better, and then he says you kind of hit a little bit of a plateau, and you have to really push to improve a little bit each and every week. So, yep, early in the season, a lot of football to be played. All right, I'm going to take a look now at our unsung heroes.
So I don't sing. Can I be the hero?
Yeah, you can be the hero. And I can't carry a tuning bucket either. So but what about the referees?
Well, in the game we saw tonight, they were very active. But the referees, you know, they really do a good job. And a lot of these guys, they just have regular jobs. They go and they take tests and they go to meetings every week and they try to study, and they don't just show up for the ball game. I mean, they have to know the rules, and they have to go to meetings, and they have to work on all the things they work on, and then go out there and try to do their very best with a lot of people yelling at them.
Yeah, and you know, and it doesn't matter what call they make. One side or the other is going to not be happy.
Exactly.
And you know, they just call the game as they see it. And I know from a meeting this summer with the Alabama High School Athletic Association, there's an emphasis on getting more referees involved as far as the numbers, because the numbers aren't where they used to be.
No.
It's getting hard to get referees. And so folks, these guys out there in those striped shirts, I know they may make a call that we may think isn't the right call to make, but you know, at the end of the game, they're guys that enjoy high school football, and you know, they're out there doing what you said, Coach, just trying to give kids an opportunity to play.
And we mentioned in the game, there's different rules for high school than there are for college. So people who watch college football on TV, they get to know the college rules and thinks it applies to high school. And a lot of times the officials are absolutely correct in high school, but everybody thinks they're wrong.
Because they've heard all these talk shows talking about the college rules and the NFL rules. And
see, there is no targeting in high school. If a defense crosses the ball just a little bit, it's offside. You can't get back. So there's a lot of little things. Most of the game's the same, but not all of it. And where they spot the ball, if you kick it in the end zone, is put it in different places. So there's a lot of different rules. So they really do a really good job.
Yeah, they do a good job. And the crew tonight, I thought, did a really good job.
They did.
And, you know, and I appreciate when things are getting a little testy there. You know, they call both teams together. And, you know, normally, and we as coaches, you know, have seen that and heard what's said, and it's pretty much, hey, guys, you know, check the emotions, play in a game, get in here, get after one another, but let's keep it clean. And if you don't, then the flags don't come out there. But they try to teach as they go. And, you know, and I really appreciate that from our officials. They do a great job, and, you know, great group of guys. And, you know, when we saw a good crew tonight.
The hardest games for an official to call are fire pugs, wee-wees, and pee-wees. Because those parents are very excited.
And Coach, I think you talking a little bit from experience, aren't you?
I've done it a long time ago.
Yeah, you used to wear a striped shirt there some, calling some games, and certainly can relate to these guys. All right. Well, we're going to take another commercial break, and then when we come back, we might take a look. Well, we are going to take a look at some of the upcoming SEC games.
Do I get to make my picks?
You get to make the picks.
Yes.
Get to make the picks. All right. So here's a word from our sponsor.
I always wanted to be a fireman or a policeman. I went into the EMS program at Wallace State right after high school. After that, I went into law enforcement. Thanks to Wallace State, I was able to pursue not just one dream of mine, but all of them. Wallace State made the difference in my life, so I can do the same for others. My name is Brandon Horton, and my story began at Wallace State.
Delicious stud, hun.
Eat up. There's plenty more.
Billy, eat your stud. Think of the termites whose homes were protected with Termidor.
Aw, Dad. The Browns will never get Termidor. They're clueless.
Yeah, they even think homeowners insurance covers our damage.
Do you hear laughing?
It's probably just the pipes.
Target Pest Control. We aim to please.
At Premier Bank, you have a financial partner you can depend on. Hi, I'm Jay Mullins, president of Premier Bank, with some exciting news about our financial strength and performance. For the 6th consecutive year, our bank has been rated 5 stars by Bauer Financial, an independent firm that has been analyzing and reporting on the financial condition of the nation's banking industry since 1983. This prestigious rating means that we are one of the strongest banks in the nation, and a safe and sound bank you can depend on.
Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard. We're going to take a look. We're going to move away from high school football for just a moment, and we're going to look at SEC football. And we're going to let Coach make his picks tonight. All right. Opening weekend of college football. Well, actually, last weekend was opening for some.
Right.
But this week for the SEC, a couple teams already played. Alabama, Louisville in Orlando.
Alabama. Do I have to say the score too?
No. Do you think it's going to be close? You think it's going to be a significant victory? What do you think?
I think 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. Okay.
Now, if Lamar
like
Jackson would have stayed, I don't know.
Don't know? Okay. Well, you know, Alabama recruited Jawan Pass, who is the quarterback at Louisville. That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Sure is.
Kind of interesting. All right. This one, I think I know where you're going. Arkansas, Eastern Illinois.
I think Eastern Illinois. No, Arkansas.
Arkansas. What about now? Florida taking on a big one here. Charleston Southern.
Gators.
All right, another big game. No kidding here. Both preseason top 10 teams in the AP poll. You got Auburn, Washington in Atlanta, which is going to be a big Auburn fan base. Going to be just like a home ball game for Auburn.
That's a tough one because my allegiance is red and white. But I think Auburn's going to get them. I really do.
I believe Auburn will win that one. And I'm actually going. I'm not going. I mean, I'm red and white too, crimson and white. But
Auburn's going to have really good defense.
Auburn's going to be good on defense, and I just think too much speed on that side of the ball for Washington. So I think Auburn comes away with a win. I'm going to pull for the SEC. You got Georgia taking on Austin Peay.
Georgia.
Kentucky, Central Michigan.
Kentucky.
All right, now the game you and I talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one of those games some people have looked at, but a lot hadn't. LSU, Miami.
You said it depends on which team, which Miami team shows up. I was thinking the opposite. What team is LSU going to show up? I want to pull for the SEC, so I'm going to say LSU, but it's going to be close.
Close. Joe Burrow coming from Ohio State to LSU here within the last couple of weeks. A couple quarterbacks from LSU decide they're going to go elsewhere. What kind of mindset you think LSU's got going into this game?
Well, it's first game of the season. They're excited, so I think it's a big game for their coach. I think he really needs to win this game to have a successful season. So I'm sure they're excited to go play. What's their mindset? That's hard to answer. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. But
do you think playing in Arlington favors LSU, favors Miami, doesn't really favor either one?
I think LSU would be closer, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So
fan base might get there a little better.
I think LSU's fan base will travel better. They're going to be there, and they're going to be wild and crazy.
Absolutely.
They always are.
Absolutely. So that one's going to be a good matchup right there, and I think I agree with you. I think it's going to be a tight ball game.
Which one do you think is going to win?
I think LSU is going to win. I do, and I'm just basing that on pretty much from, if they can. The last couple of years, it's been deciding on a quarterback and getting some solid quarterback play. Been kind of iffy in that position the last couple of years.
New offensive coordinator.
And new offensive coordinator.
And that's going to be interesting.
So I still think LSU. But I do like Mark Richt a lot. I liked him when he was at Georgia. I like him at Miami. Man does a good job. Ole Miss, Texas Tech in Houston.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. They can put some points on the board.
They can. And now they don't have an interim coach. They have the coach, same guy.
But and he's an Ole Miss guy.
He is.
Through and through.
Seems to be a good guy, so I think the kids are going to like playing for him.
Okay. Mississippi State without Nick Fitzgerald.
Or their head coach of last year.
Of last year. Knew everybody. Playing Stephen F. Austin in start.
I want to go Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. And, right now, they're that team that everybody's kind of picking as that dark horse, so to speak, and with the opportunity to do some big things this year.
Could be a lot of cowbell.
Could be. Alabama slipped out with a win last year. Missouri, UT Martin in Columbia.
Missouri.
South Carolina. You think this is a warm-up game prior to Georgia? Coastal Carolina in Columbia.
Yeah, South Carolina.
Yeah. All right, another interesting one. What about Tennessee, West Virginia in Charlotte?
Off-site game. Probably both fans are going to travel about the same distance. New head coach. It's hard to pull for Tennessee. I don't know which is harder.
Well, you got Will Greer returning with West Virginia. I'm going to take West Virginia over Tennessee.
I'm going to go with Tennessee just because I want their head coach to win.
All right. Texas A&M, I think they played last night. I'm not 100% sure on that, but Northwestern State. Vandy, Middle Tennessee.
That may be a good game.
That'll be a good game.
I'll go with Vandy with that one.
All right. You heard it here, folks. And primarily SEC favored, heavily favored this week in some games. But Auburn, Alabama, LSU, a couple others got a tough slate ahead of them in that opening game. And then, they'll get ready to square off here in the next week or two with SEC play. Of course, South Carolina, Georgia. All right. Good to see you, folks, and hope you'll be with us next week here at Beyond the Scoreboard.
It was fun. Thank you.